Most people don't stay poor because they lack money. They stay poor because they follow a mental script they never realized was written for them. In 1956, a young man named Warren Buffett was rejected by Harvard Business School. He was embarrassed, confused. By every normal standard, he had failed. But instead of chasing status, he quietly returned to Omaha and started studying businesses the way a farmer studies seasons. Years later, he would say something unsettling. The biggest investment advantage is not intelligence, but temperament. Not what you know, how you think. That idea sounds simple. It isn't. Because the difference between poor and rich thinking rarely shows up in income. It shows up in decisions that look harmless in the moment. Every month, millions of people repeat the same cycle. Salary arrives, bills get paid, something small is bought as a reward, stress decreases briefly, then the money disappears. Nothing feels irrational, yet 10 years later, one person owns assets, and another owns only memories of spending. The uncomfortable truth is this: wealth is less about earning and more about interpretation. Two people can see the same money and see completely different meanings. A poor mindset sees money as relief. A rich mindset sees money as a tool. This difference begins early. Psychologists call it present bias. Humans naturally value immediate rewards more than future ones. Evolution trained us this way. Immediate survival mattered more than long-term planning. But modern financial systems reward the opposite behavior. Consider a simple timeline. If someone saves $200 a month starting at age 22 and earns an average 8% annual return, they could end up with over $500,000 by retirement. Start 10 years later and the total drops dramatically, even if monthly savings double. The math feels unfair because time, not effort, does most of the work. Poor thinking focuses on effort. Rich thinking focuses on leverage. Leverage is not only debt or business ownership. It is time, skills, systems, and compounding decisions. Wealthy thinkers constantly ask one quiet question: will this choice make future decisions easier or harder? Buying a depreciating asset feels good today, but demands future payments. Learning a valuable skill feels uncomfortable today, but reduces future effort. The emotional direction is reversed. And this is where society creates confusion. Social media celebrates visible wealth, cars, travel, luxury purchases, but invisible wealth behaves differently. It is boring, slow, often lonely. It looks like restraint when everyone else is accelerating. During the early years of Amazon, Jeff Bezos drove a modest car while reinvesting nearly everything back into growth. Critics called the company reckless because profits were minimal, but Bezos wasn't optimizing for appearance, he was optimizing for scale. Rich thinking often sacrifices short-term validation for long-term optionality. Optionality means having choices. Poor thinking asks, what can I afford today? Rich thinking asks, what will give me more choices tomorrow? This shift changes everything.
Take debt as an example. Many people believe debt itself is the problem, but financially, debt is neutral. The difference lies in purpose. Consumer debt finances consumption that disappears. Productive debt finances assets that generate income or appreciation. The system quietly rewards those who understand this distinction. Here is another uncomfortable truth. Hard work alone rarely creates wealth. That statement feels offensive because effort matters, but history shows effort without direction leads to exhaustion, not freedom. Factories during the Industrial Revolution were filled with hardworking people who remained poor for generations. Meanwhile, owners benefited from scalable systems. The economic lesson is simple. Income tied only to hours has a ceiling. Income tied to assets can expand without proportional effort. Rich thinkers aim to disconnect income from time. They invest in businesses, skills with global demand, or assets that produce cash flow. Poor thinkers often optimize stability instead, seeking predictability even when it limits growth. Stability feels safe, but inflation quietly erodes stagnant income every year. Inflation is another invisible psychological trap. When prices rise slowly, people adjust behavior instead of questioning the system. Spending increases gradually, savings lose purchasing power, and financial stress feels personal rather than structural. The rich do something different. They assume money loses value over time and position themselves in assets that historically outpace inflation: equities, businesses, or productive real estate. It is not optimism, it is pattern recognition. There is also a deeper emotional layer. Poor thinking often treats money as identity. Spending becomes proof of success. Rich thinking separates identity from consumption. Wealthy individuals frequently delay visible rewards because their validation comes from progress, not display. This explains a strange paradox. The moment someone stops trying to look rich is often when they begin becoming rich. But none of this means wealthy thinkers are smarter. In fact, research repeatedly shows financial success correlates more with behavior consistency than IQ. Small, repeated actions dominate outcomes. Saving automatically, investing regularly, avoiding emotional decisions during market crashes. These actions feel insignificant individually, but become powerful through compounding. Compounding is not just financial, it is psychological. Each disciplined decision reinforces future discipline. Each impulsive decision normalizes impulsivity. Over years, thinking patterns harden into identity. And here lies the real divide. Poor thinking reacts to circumstances. Rich thinking designs systems that reduce reliance on willpower. Automatic investments, multiple income streams, long-term planning frameworks. These are not signs of wealth, they are mechanisms that create it. The irony is that both mindsets feel rational from the inside. The spender believes they are enjoying life responsibly. The investor feels cautious and patient. Neither sees the long-term outcome immediately. Only time reveals the difference. Look again at Buffett in Omaha, quietly reading annual reports while others chased prestige. His advantage was not secret information, it was the willingness to think differently from the crowd for long periods without external validation. That may be the hardest part. Because rich thinking often feels wrong at first. Saving instead of spending feels restrictive. Investing during uncertainty feels dangerous. Waiting feels like falling behind. Yet historically, patience has been rewarded more consistently than brilliance. So the real question is not whether someone earns enough money, it is whether their thinking aligns with how money actually behaves in the modern world. Money grows slowly, then suddenly. Habits feel small, then irreversible. Decisions look harmless, then defining. And maybe the most unsettling realization is this: most financial outcomes are predictable long before they become visible. Which brings us back to the beginning.